how to do some things that we're going to be doing on YouTube. And so I'm going to invite him. Let's see, where is it? There's a way to invite people to join. Let's see. Unless 1 minute video needed to start a highlight. Start a poll, start that, question, chat feeder, community moderation.
Sure.
Where? Think so? No, share with your audience. No. What's this one? Green screen. Oh no, now I'm messing things up.
Well, wait a minute.
All right, go. Here's what you do. Go to my YouTube channel and find it.
Well, here's the thing. I can switch accounts to the layman seminary. Your
Praise I am if you're out there. I'm at Brahms. Praise lives in New York, so
private
I mean not New York, Oklahoma.
So, like, can I join you live now?
Yeah.
Not yes, work with.
Well, user permissions. Go. You got to give it user permissions.
Well, I thought I did. I don't know how to do that. I mean, the app has permissions.
2 people are watching already.
What's up? I don't know, bro.
Hey Ollie, when you gonna reply to Jack Smack? I replied to Jack Smack last night. Hey Kurt, yeah, I'm looking scruffy. I just got an electric razor, so I'll probably start using that. I'm here with Josh. We're trying to set up his phone so that he can start doing lives. You know, Josh is on the board of the Layman Seminary. Good friend of mine. Y'all know him from the inductive Bible study videos. Yeah, no problem. It's underneath the Are You Worthy of the Title? Free Grace, episode 2. We just did it last night. By the way, Ollie, did you contact GES recently? Because somebody named Oliver, and I'm not saying your name is Oliver, they were asking a question about Charles Ryrie being free grace. And it was right after I did a stream about Jack Smack saying Ryrie was not free grace. So it made me wonder if maybe that was you. Hey Elizabeth, how are you eating? I'm eating a mix from Brahms.
Like a Blizzard.
Yeah, like Blizzard, Dairy Queen. But this is M&M's and vanilla. Let's see. Hey Victory Street, what's up?
That's not giving me the...
Dang, dude, you didn't have none of this set up?
No. I told you I haven't done anything with it yet.
All right.
We got to figure it out, though, before I leave.
Oh, I was right, dude. It was him. Yeah. And Ollie, is it true? I'm going to speak in veiled language. Is it true you have a connection with David Anderson?
It says, while using
Dave Anderson?
permissions is not yet supported. I don't know what that means. I'll have to figure that out.
Okay. Hey, Kevin. You have to figure what out. All you got to do is pull up. You're not going live. You're going to join me. Get in the chat, and I think I'm able to invite you once you're there. I have Ryrie Study Bible, and I saw the quote before Jack Smack. I saw you, Jack Smack, talk about it. Oh, okay. Yeah. It occurs in So Great Salvation. I think it occurs in Basic Theology and all of that. Okay. You got to mute yourself. Hey, room renter. All right, so now make a comment there, Josh. We're trying to see if we can do collab. I don't know how to do it, but I'm trying to see. Welcome, room. Now y'all know why I wear my hat, right? Because I'm going bald. Trying to see if we can collaborate. All right, Josh. So look what's happened. I click on your name.
Yep.
I can add you as moderator, so I'll do that. Hey, Big Stack. Let's see here. Start a poll. No. What's this? Pin to live stream.
Different.
How do I invite somebody to collab? I've seen that happen, or I've seen it in shorts. I just don't know how to do it here. So the way that you like a thing is at the top. Whoa, watch out. You click this up here, and that's how you like thumbnails and all of that. So let's see here. Chat feed or community moderation, live chat on, participant mode, anyone, message delay, community defaults. So I don't see where you do it. So this is what we're gonna do, guys. Who's Dave? Yeah. Oh no. I thought you had a. No, I'm talking about a guy that's connected to grade school theology. But so this is what we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna put Josh on the spot. Talk to him. Do your thing right now.
Do my thing right now. I thought we were supposed to do like a transcript and all that other good stuff.
And freestyle.
All right.
You're from the rapper world. Just talk to them.
That's fair enough.
This is not a short, so just talk as long as you want. Put what's on your heart, whatever you're led to say. Just freestyle.
Alrighty. I'll do the best I can.
YouTube live shorts. There's people they just sit around and eat and talk to people.
Oh, that's true.
So it's just you're being yourself.
Well, what's up, everybody? I'm gonna minimize this on my phone. Basically, I think it was like last October, right? About that time, Charlie, I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I just want to start contributing more to the channel other than just being like kind of like a founding member, and just kind of going from there. And so if you look back at like our previous, I mean, really from the beginning of the channel, you see a lot of older, like real old, I actually, had hair back then. So, but I just wanted to contribute more. I wanted to be more than just a founding member. And so I reached out to him. I said, hey, what do you want me to do? And he really, in true Charlie fashion, he really didn't give me anything other than just the old genie advice, just be yourself. So, but being myself and struggling with ADHD and a few other things, it's always hard for me to get the ball rolling on projects like this, stuff that I'm just not familiar with or good at. But at any rate, so yeah, so really kind of the big three things that I at least wanted to share was kind of giving, Charlie really does a good job, I think, from giving a more of an academic and a really deep dive into like grace theology and being able to do those types of debates and things. That's really not where my angle lies, but more or less in the everyday like application of applying for grace in real life. This just a different approach to studying, not necessarily a different approach to study scripture, that's wrong, but more or less just a down-to-earth style, a little bit, if that was the right word for that. What else is there? There were some other things we discussed. Help me here. There was just basically just a different approach, and just a different style on how to do that.
I'm gonna watch me on your phone.
You're gonna watch you on my phone?
Yeah, so actually, I can see the comments. Go ahead.
But so yeah, just and really just practicing my gift. So if you didn't know, I'm still serving in the United States Air Force. Just have a few years left to go, and I just kind of wanted to start applying in real time, edifying the church according, like just like Ephesians 4 says, we are not called to just be gifted and not use our gifts, but rather to exercise our gifts and help each other. So I wanted to contribute more to the channel, contribute more to helping others grow. I also wanted to grow. I think that, by interacting with other people, especially in my job that I currently do, I spend a lot of time interacting with people, and it's just amazing how much just in a 6-7 month time frame, how much my own personal growth and my own professional growth and my own job capacity has just expounded. And I think the same is true when we start talking to other believers. And so really, I guess it's a really long way of saying, as much as I'd like to edify the body, I'd like to be edified as well. Because sometimes, and Charlie could attest to this too, is some of the local churches I've been in, it's just, it's like getting scraps from the food table. There's really not sound exegetical teaching or exegetical preaching. It's just not exactly what I'm looking for. But I go to be faithful, right? I've got 3 kids of my own, and I want them to be, I want them to, at least be underneath, good, godly, biblical individuals, and but definitely just being more involved in having fellowship across more than just in-person fellowship, but also fellowship across the chat. So that's me. And of course, in true fashion, Charlie likes to put me on the spot because he knows. We were talking about it before, and he's like, "Hey, when are you going to post that introductory video like you said you were going to do a couple months ago?" And I chuckled and I said, "Well, in true fashion to me, I haven't done it yet. I procrastinate terribly." And he's like, "Well, here we go." And to the live we went. Well, obviously, as the beginning of the video, we were testing some stuff out. Didn't quite go the way we planned. So, just like he would do in some of our older videos, he'd be like, "Hey, Josh, do this," or "What's this?" And then I'd just be lost. So, 4 years from now or 5 years from now, I'm looking back at this live video. I'm gonna laugh because I'll probably be better at what I'm doing. And he's typing now, I don't know, on my phone. What are you typing?
Somebody compared you to Edward Norton. The guy that's in American History X. You never seen that movie, right?
I have never seen that movie.
Anyway,
Ed Norton. I normally don't. I normally don't have this. I normally don't have a caterpillar growing on my face. But some coworkers had asked us all, like, "Hey, let's grow our mustaches for March," and so I did. And then subsequently, the following Monday, I walk in and I'm the only one who has it. So, but I'm a man of a word. So, and so to some degree, this is me doing what I told Charlie I would do 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I'm getting after it.
Tell them about your experience with seminary. How you started seminary, where you're at in that journey,
Oh, sure. So just like Charlie, did you go anywhere? You went to Southwestern first too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just like Charlie, we both started out at Seminary, Southwestern Seminary, not Southwest Seminary, but Southwestern Seminary down in DFW, Fort Worth. And so I won't spare you the details, but I wanted to be able to give my military benefits to my wife and kids when we're separated. So I couldn't use my Air Force TA to go there. So it took about a year, I think it was, that I went to seminary, took a lot of classes, and then I switched over to Liberty.
You took Greek, you took some Old Testament survey.
Old Testament, all Old Testament and New Testament survey. I did do baby Greek, right, or initial Greek classes, and then switched over to Liberty and finished some more stuff, and then ultimately I'm still in seminary long haul. I just got to work towards getting the rest of it done, but the goal was to complete seminary by the time I finished my Air Force career and then roll into bivocational pastor. And I think that's actually, for me, something I'm seeing that's more important than just a traditional pastor that sits in the pulpit, but somebody that is not financially dependent on members. But though I still think it's good that members support the pastor and give money to that goal, because that is his ministry, right? But at the same time, I think that it's important that all ministries are supported throughout the church. So let's see here. Somebody replied. Hayden replied to you. I don't know.
It's all right.
At any rate, does that answer your question?
Yeah, tell them how our studies help prepare you for seminary.
Oh, for sure. So
and navigate seminary.
Yeah, I think I've said this before. I mean, you'd have to go back and look at some of the live chats
Yeah.
or the recorded videos.
Well, we
excuse
did
me.
interviews with
Yeah,
you,
we
too.
did. There was actually 2 interviews. I think one before I went to Osan, and then another one. I don't remember. It's been a few years. But you know, one of the things I was just actually telling Charlie that we did was we integrated what I guess I missed whenever I moved from where Charlie lives to where I live now. Well, even before that, the other 2 places I lived before I live now, there was almost like in the early church age where they were all gathering together, right? You know, you read that in Acts chapter 2. They were all gathering together and worshiping and stuff. And Charlie and I really, after when I moved here in September of 2013, but I met Charlie in October of 13. He really just became part of the family. I mean, it was just my wife and I talk all the time about how there really was never a weekend that Charlie wasn't over. I mean, my kids call him Uncle Charlie, and we spent a lot of time together. And so there was this really, from a biblical standpoint, there was a mentorship to mentoree. There was that.
And Janet's been involved in all that.
Oh, for sure. Yes, throw a shout out to Janet because she may not be on here, but she'll eventually see this video. And, you know, she's been there too. We've done a lot of studies with her. As a matter of fact, I remember when I was sitting in my dorm room in Osan, we were doing studying dispensationalism and working through Ryrie's book on that. So the mentorship has continued, since over 10 years now. I've known Charlie, and it's been a great relationship. And I think that it's just something to emulate across the board, right? So find your Charlie and then be a Charlie to somebody else.
Talk about the first thing we studied in our process forward. You know, just briefly, what comes to your mind?
Oh, well, the first thing we studied was actually Reign of the Tournament Kings by Final Destiny. Yep, Reign of the Servant Kings by Dillo. And so I was already free grace. I just didn't know the names of free grace or the title of it. And so we really began to work through various chapters. And no, we did not get through that huge book because it was a monstrosity. And I could barely read the words in that book, just due to my own educational level at the time. But it started there, right? And then we slowly began to evolve, and really it was kind of a 2-factor evolution. So there was my personal growth with Charlie at a personal level, and then there was the growth of our local church that we were both serving in at simultaneously. So I was asked to teach the youth group Sunday school, and then when I did that, ultimately I became the youth pastor at a church, and then went back to attending regular Sunday school because somebody else taught that, and then Charlie and I would. You've seen several of our videos, and that's really when you see those older videos of us together. Those were the times where I was a youth pastor, learning how to pastor, learning how to teach, how to do all those things under the mentorship of our the pastor of the church we were going with, and kind of like what does full-time ministry look like. But Charlie and I were developing a lot of those deductive Bible study methods. So it went from private conversations to then more of a systematic approach. And at the same time, we both started going to seminary. And so we both just continued to grow together in those. And we could lean on each other. Charlie is extremely gifted in the academic world, and I'm more gifted in the application or the hands-on approach to things. And so I can pop Charlie's academic balloon and bring him back to earth and remind him that, you have to walk on the ground sometimes. We can get a little bit too lofty on the conversation. And then at the same time, he's like, well, yeah, but we don't need to be on the ground all the time and slinging mud. We need to actually, clean ourselves up and become more refined in our thinking and our skill sets. And so, yeah. Okay. And by the way, this isn't going at all the way that I thought it would go, which is kind of funny. And I'm starting to learn more about myself. I prefer structure. I prefer an outline. I prefer following points. And Charlie is like the renegade. He just likes to shoot from the hip and ask questions later type of thing. He's always done this to me.
Yeah. Tell them a little bit about your experience developing curriculum for Air Force and maybe how that transfers over into other things.
Yeah, so one of my favorite undergrad classes is called Systematic Engineering. And this is where I think my analytical brain, like one of the reasons why I latched hold of this concept was everything's a system. Your body's a system. We live in a planetary system. We live in a universe which is a system. And you can essentially break this stuff down using that approach. It's very analytical, which is I'm very good at. And the Air Force does the same way. They take a topic, they break it down into major points, subpoints to those major points, and so on and so forth as you work your way down. And in the same way, we do the same thing whenever we express concepts, biblical concepts to Scripture. We take a passage of Scripture, there are main points that the original author intended, and that's the struggle, right? Is being able to discover what is the original intent of the author, right? What did he mean when he wrote what he wrote to the original audience, and then taking that and bridging the gap to today, right? I mean, that's the whole point of we paying somebody to stand and preach and teach. And so the idea is that the Air Force taught me how to develop curriculum through the Instructional System Development Model, what we call the ISD model. And basically it's what any preacher would do. Well, I say that. The hope is that, good communication skills can be or should I say, mediocre communication skills can be overcome by a good outline that's systematically developed. And you can do the same thing in Scripture. And so that's what, I don't even know, do we have the 2 sermons that I preached on the channel?
Yeah, I think we do.
Okay, so, that's essentially, Charlie showed me how to break it down systematically. I know it's the homily is the last step in that process that I remember off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I've actually prepared a sermon, but yeah, it's very similar. It's funny, like when you get your Sunday school material. I don't know if you guys go to a formal, there's a lot of I don't know if your church gives you Sunday school material or whatnot, but like Lifeway, those types of things. They did the same thing. They use the same model to develop training. Their text is the Bible rather than a technical order or an AFI or something along those lines. But yeah.
Talk a little bit about the practical side of ministry, like opportunities you've had to counsel from things you've gone through, or because what was it, green dot, red dot?
Oh yeah, the model the Air Force doesn't even use anymore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
so
funny.
I guess it's not classified.
No, it's not.
Just talk about some of the experiences that you've had as far as things you dealt with on a more practical pastoral counselor experience of things.
So, being in the job that I'm at, we're just exposed to a lot of different issues, and everybody's got issues, and everybody wants help. And that's one thing that I've learned is that I may work in a very technical career field, but there's still the Air Force wouldn't call it this, but there's still the pastoral ministry of dealing with people's problems. Everybody's got problems, and they want somebody to help them through that. They want somebody to go, either go through it with them or help them through it, or just be there to listen. What was I'm sorry, my ADD brain just scoped.
Your explanation about how you've had opportunities to counsel people in drastic situations, from your personal experiences, different traumas, that type of stuff.
Okay.
So you can't talk in detail, but just give people an impression about, like, how does your ministry play out in your field, in your experience, and then maybe tie it a little bit in about Molly and maybe how that's ministered to others.
Well, yeah. So on this channel, you guys probably have heard it. I think we've talked about it before. One of my, my family went through when I first got here. We found out that my youngest was going to require a lot of open heart surgeries, require massive medical needs and those types of things, and then through all those experiences and all those times in the hospital and all those times going through, every time she had to have her chest opened up and heart work done, it was there's a lot of people that would make comments to me like, you've never seemed down, you've never seemed like you couldn't get through it, and there was almost like some people would call it grit. The reality is it's just that as I matured biblically, as the process that I just got done talking about, there's a sense of hope, there's a sense of peace that you get. Doesn't mean you're always going to get your outcome that you want. I certainly never expected Molly. I shouldn't say that. That's not. I did expect. There was a desire, I should say. As a matter of fact, we were having this conversation, my wife and I. Sidebar, since we're not following an outline, my daughter Molly, who has ours, she asked us, well, I need a heart transplant. My wife's response was immediately, oh yeah, you're gonna need one. And I said, maybe. And the reason I said maybe was because I fully believe that God could sustain Molly's heart until the day she dies. She could be 100 years old with the heart she is. And it would be, some people would say it's a miracle. I would say it's a miracle too. She's operating on a third of her heart. We all get 100% of what we get. She gets 33. And it's the weaker 33, believe it or not. So it's not even the strong side of the heart that normally does a lot of the work. And so I say that, so, Molly, and my wife was like, well, I think that too. But the important thing is that I would say from an early, what I went through at such a young age, and I say a young age, I was 24, which most 24-year-olds, when you're told, like, hey, your kid's probably going to die, I don't know how many 24-year-olds, that have other issues going on in their lives would not just crumble. And I would say that a lot of it's due to the faith, but I would also say that the church members like Charlie and a lot of the church that I was attending at the time surrounded us. And so God, in a way, put his arms around us through people, right? And so I saw how ministry was applied through our pastor, whose name is Pastor Mark, various other men and women in the church, how God operated in that way. And so I tried to take that same approach to the men and women that I deal with on a daily basis. And so, and I hear it all the time on Grace Global Radio. This channel is not trying to just make you academically smarter. It doesn't do anybody good to just have a head full of knowledge if it's not taken and applied. Water could sit in a tub, but unless you get in and you take a bath, you're not going to get clean. So, and in the same way, we can have we can be smart on any subject that we want, but we are still called to go do. And that's the whole point of this video. That's why Charlie's making me go live, because he's the catalyst to always my change. I will tell you, when I got here, I wanted to do a men's Bible study. I wanted to do something. I didn't do anything about it until Charlie was like, hey, we're going to go study. Hey, can we settle time with me to study? We're going to study Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And then my wife was like, hey, Tuesdays and Thursday nights isn't going to work. We got kids. We have responsibilities. And then it became like, well, we're not busy Friday night through Saturday night because I was poor. I made a lot of bad financial decisions when I was in my 20s. And so Charlie would come over and we would do what's free. Studying the Bible doesn't cost you anything. So we would do that. And, I hope Lacey watches this video and gets kicks out of it. I'll have to share it on Facebook. On here. Yeah, no, right. Absolutely. Oh, Lacey, is she on here? You did that one time Bible study with me. Is she on
Romans 5.
There we go. So you'll see me with my wife. Well, did she ever, I know she did the voice. Did she ever actually go on camera?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
you'll see what my wife looks like.
Yeah.
And she's still just as beautiful and amazing as ever. So shout out to you, babe. If you ever see this, at least you'll know that I love you. So.
Okay, talk about how big tent approach that our local church had, as far as about, because I don't think people realize, it's hard to find free grace churches.
Yeah, but the problem with the Big Ten idea is that it doesn't work. It works to a certain point. But just like I was watching today, this is a political video, that particular current sitting president and his base is now extremely wide. There's a lot more people in this particular political party.
You said wide, not white.
Yes, wide, W-I-D-E. Okay, in case my accent or the fact that I'm suffering from allergies right now came across the wrong way. Then now the current sitting president has to deal with not just one demographic that has traditionally made up this particular party, but now there's multiple parties or multiple demographics within that party. And on top of that, there are certain celebrities or certain high-profile people that across the spectrum The only thing that ties them together is that individual who's now the president of the United States. So, saying that, converting it over to the wide tent idea, doctrine is extremely important. Now, we can have our differences in doctrine, but one thing that needs to always be clear is the doctrine of salvation, right? There is no wide tent concept there at all. And we need to be gracious to another. I think that free grace, and I think it was, we were just talking about him. He's the pastor over in Denton. Sean Lazar has made this point multiple times on his Facebook and in other areas that I've seen where we get hung up on like small stuff, right? And that's where the big tent doctrine, or the big tent idea, I think that was originally espoused at our local church, was trying to get across, was like, we're not going to split a church up over King James Version. And I do know that there are some people that, and if you're King James only, I get it, I understand. I go to a church that is King James only, and they're that is the word of God, to them. So, but that was kind of the idea of, I guess, of the big tent. But there were some certain doctrines, like, there are some exclusions, right? Because at some point, everything draws a line. There's boundaries. Christianity is exclusionary, just in practice. You're either a Christian or you're not. That's an exclusion. Some doctrines, when you hold to them, they're exclusionary. And I think that people don't realize that because they don't stop and actually self-evaluate very often or very much, or they don't even evaluate really what they believe. They just kind of like, I believe, that the sky is blue.
Yeah, they have a hodgepodge.
Yes, and they have no idea that sometimes in their hodgepodge of doctrines that they hold to, that Doctrine A and Doctrine B are actually at odds with one another, and they come from completely different spectrums of things. But also, I would say this. Growing is a process. Like, when you get born, we know that from a free grace perspective that you don't go from getting saved to being a mature believer like that. So there are going to be struggles that baby Christians do. They may hear something and think, that's legit. I was hearing on Free Grace Radio the other day that, I don't remember exactly, so forgive me here, but it was talking about this idea that we need to be, that Timothy was a book on, he was talking about Timothy and just how Timothy had to be patient. He had to be patient when he preached the word because, if we're not patient with those, they have to do it to us too, because we may be, it sounds like I'm saying like I've got it all right, coming from me, but I may hold to something that's wrong too. So everybody just needs to be patient with each other as we move towards unity, right? In doctrine. So, and that is challenging to do because, I think everybody, when you come to a new concept, or you wouldn't believe what you believe unless you thought it was true. And then when something else comes out of, challenges your doctrine, a lot of times we just dismiss it because I'm right and you're wrong. But I think one thing I've learned in my job is that, especially I have a great boss, and we can dismiss things without even giving them a valid review. Now, I know that, I don't know, help you out here, Charlie. There are certain ideas that are just off the wall. If someone was to be like, you don't get saved, but there's other ways to heaven. No, it takes about 2 seconds to evaluate that. But there may be, when we start talking about, we were talking earlier today about the idea of hell having different lakes of fire being presented in the text. Well, I need to stop and evaluate that just a little bit longer than, you're wrong, right? But see, some people would just be like, no, Charlie, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And then, but what we should be doing is, how do you get to that point and understanding that? And if the person that says well, I don't have all the evidence together, okay, well then I'm not going to be so hardcore on that doctrine, and I'm certainly not going to be judgmental because it's he or she may be still developing that doctrine, or it may not be something I'm going to adhere to just yet or ever. But I think that big tent, that's where I guess the big tent concept is really just being gracious to one another as we grow up in our faith. So,
Okay, so in light of everything that you said in this video,
which I don't remember all of it.
but we're freestyling.
Yeah.
You basically introduced yourself. You talked about the layman seminary. You talked about the previous videos that developed. You went into a little bit about your personal background. You went into your vocational background. You went into your seminary background. You talked about the practicality concerning the local body of church, a little bit about the mission and vision of the layman seminary. What I would like for you to do is conclude this video in a way that wraps up those things and leaves the audience with a general impression of what you want them to have about you personally, as well as your contribution to the layman seminary and what you want people to understand about the layman seminary. Okay?
All right, so we'll start with the end. What I want you to understand about layman seminary is that hopefully what it is it's something that's going to help you grow, right? And we only can grow to the point that where we're at, right? So Charlie and I need, and anybody that contributes on the channel, Janet as well, she's a big contributor. The other gentleman,
Kurt and Peaceful
Banana and Kurt, there's others that are now contributing a lot on this channel. We only can bring people up to where we're at, and we always need to be pushed and grow more. And that's what the thing about being a teacher that I learned a long time ago was that school's never out. Life is a school. We're always learning. We should always be learning. So this isn't really just, some professor or professors just trying to like ram theology down your throat, but rather like a sharing of like what we've discovered, methods and processes for improvement. Absolutely. We can learn from you just as much as you could learn from us. And for me personally, and I guess what you can expect more of is more, how do we get after the application side? How do we get after sustained? This is something we say in the Air Force all the time. Sustained superior performance. How do we get after sustained performance, biblically speaking? And it's certainly not, and I've struggled with this. I always thought it was just like avoidance of sin. Like do what we can do to avoid sin. But what I've learned recently, and it's helped, is what we should be sustained at is our thoughts are constantly on Christ. What are we thinking about Christ? How are we thinking about Christ? It should just be, I shouldn't be thinking about what I can't do, but rather what I can do and who I should be thinking about, which is Him. And so I guess that's what you can expect from me. Staying focused, pressing on to the goal. And
this is another area where you're stepping out in your comfort zone. No, don't do that because you don't want to include people in there that may not want to be included.
Fair enough.
But you want to be out of your comfort zone, stepping out of faith, and taking on new challenges, and just talking to people where you're at. Mm-hmm. That's what ministry is. Layman seminary is teaching Christians how to study and share their Bible with others. Well, that means where you're at, what you've learned, how it relates to your life. A lot of times at work, when I meet guys, Christian, I'm like, hey man, what you reading? What are you meditating on? Mm-hmm. And then what God's doing with them individually, that allows me to spark up that conversation and go deeper with them. And that's all you need to do in these videos. Because you see, if you go live, these are not shorts. So if you go live, that's another option you can do, Josh. You can interact with the chat. You can answer their questions. You can share your thoughts.
Right, so I need 50 followers apparently. Or I need to figure out how to do it with this channel.
You can go live as a layman seminary.
Fair enough.
I just make you an administrator on. Well, you already are an administrator on.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that didn't work.
You gotta sign in to do it. So we'll work on that, getting that set up.
But more to come from me specifically, not so much just from Charlie. But I'll do my best.
You're committed to that, right?
That's the goal.
All right. Well, let me say something to them. Thank y'all guys. Sorry y'all see me in the light. No wonder I hide in the darkness with my lights in the background and everything. But I wanted to give y'all something a little bit different. I didn't even have this planned. Josh surprised me, came down to visit. And so we went to a couple of restaurants and things like that and, spend time together. And he's talking about our plans. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just do it. That's the way to kill procrastination. Just do it, and get out of your comfort zone. And So tonight I'm going to be doing some debate prep for my debate with Rogue Calvinists. So y'all stay tuned for that, and I'll let y'all know from there. Check out more content, the old stuff, the new stuff. If you go to the shorts and you go to the click old underneath shorts, you can see all the videos. First, you'll see a couple of the dispensations, but then you'll start seeing it say 2017 throwback, inductive study. And each one of those shorts, I've started putting those there so that people can go 60 seconds how I learned the things that I taught Josh, and that our interaction through that the Layman Seminary developed. Y'all could go through that. There's also the inductive Bible study module 1, where you can see in chronologically how those things unfolded. Older videos, the quality improves as you go, but you can get the process. And we're gonna kind of rehash and refresh those things, because now that we're in the algorithm to an extent, more people can benefit from them. We have better technology and quality and issues like that. So those are some things to be looking for and praying about. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, watching, supporting in the ways that y'all do, and we appreciate everything. So God bless, guys. Y'all have a good day.